when you're growing up, going to school, nobody really teaches you how to make friends, how to interact with people. It's kind of like you kind of have to experience it yourself, how to make friends, unless you read books about it, unless your parents teach you about it. Fortunately for me, I have like the most social parents in the world, but I ended up happening to be the one person in my family who has no idea how to socialize to people. And so I didn't know what to do. I'd see people at school, and my first instinct is to mimic everything they do. I figured I don't know how to be original. I don't know how to make friends myself. I don't really know who I am. I don't really have a personality. I figured I'm just gonna copy what I see. Monkey see, monkey do. People are making friends on the first day of school by copying each other. I'm gonna do that too. So I copy people's hairstyles. I copy people's clothing styles. I copy people's sense of music tastes and shit. It's kind of like today's modern fashion trends where everybody's got the same hairstyle. Everybody's either got Air Forces, they've either got Crocs, or they've got Nike slides or some shit, bro. Every single dude has like the same outfit and shit. It's the same thing back in the day. But back then, I had like a mohawk. I had so many different layers of clothing, bro. Like, even though I was hot, I was also embarrassed to be in my own skin. I wasn't ever comfortable with it. So I would just stack on at top as many layers as I could. I'd have a t-shirt on, I'd have a flannel over that, I'd have a jacket over that, and then I'd have like an overcoat over that. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's what drip was, bro. Like, if you were rocking layers, you had drip back in the day. Back in the day, bro. That was like 10 years ago. Copy that. Copy music choices, bro. I've never really like been like a fan of music when I was growing up. I've listened to music that's playing on the radio and shit. Like pop hits and shit. Sometimes like it eventually evolved into rap, and then it evolved into people like specific artists. I don't even remember who brought it up. I just remember one day somebody mentioned that they liked The Weeknd, and I started listening to The Weeknd because I like, oh, you like The Weeknd? I like The Weeknd too, and somehow that spiraled down into me becoming obsessed with it. I would copy people exactly how they are, identical. You couldn't tell us apart. I had the same mannerisms of them. I have the same clothing style, the same sense of fashion as them. You couldn't tell us apart unless like you looked at like my skin color, you looked at their skin color, and like, oh, I'm Indian and this dude's black and the other dude's white. But other than that, we're pretty much the same person and shit. But what I realized was you kind of have to copy people to become a better version of yourself. If you want to be successful, you gotta copy successful people. Monkey see, monkey do. The reason why you start walking when you're like 2 years old is because you see your parents walking around and shit. No baby, bro, I swear, if you put a baby in the middle of the jungle, surrounded by animals and shit, gorillas and shit, walking on all fours, that baby's not going to start walking on two legs, man. That baby's never gonna stop crawling. It's gonna grow up to walk on all fours. It's not gonna, because that's what they see, like the other animals and shit do and shit. So when you see your parents walking, you automatically see what they do, monkey see, monkey do, and you figure out that you're gonna start walking too. So that's how you start walking and shit. It could be like a little bit of bro science, but anyways, I digress. My point: when you don't know what to do in your life, when you want to be successful but you can't, or it's like you're stuck in your business, and I don't know, for whatever reason you just can't get over this rut that you've gotten yourself into. Maybe it's like you're in like $20,000 in debt, and you gotta like work your ass off to get out of it, but at the same time you kind of don't want to, because it's too much pressure. You gotta figure out what would somebody that's successful would do. Like whoever's like successful that you look up to and shit, bro. I run an advertising agency. Every time I run into a problem, bro, I ask myself, what will Iman do, bro? Because I look up to Iman as like the goats, one of the goats for like SMMA and shit. And I don't agree with everything he says, but at the same time, like, his word is golden because he's been proven to show that what he does works and shit. And so you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what would people do in your situation? And you kind of have to copy off of that. Likewise, if you want to start running, you want to become like a marathon runner, bro. You've never run a day in your life. You decide now is the day you're going to run 26 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles. Bro, who else are you going to look up to than like David Goggins or some shit, man? Or like not Michael Phelps, bro. Usain Bolt, Eliud Kipchoge. These people who you're not going to look up to some bum, bro, that's not running every day. You're going to look up to the greatest. You're going to copy what they do. Then you're going to implement what they do into your own regimens and then succeed. You have to copy people to become successful. That's the way shit works. You can't just figure shit out on your own. I've tried so hard, and maybe it's because I'm too stubborn, but whenever I have a problem, I try to do shit my own way. And of course, it never turns out the way I want it to. For example, I was struggling to figure out if I want to work overtime, so I can have like a little bit extra spending money to put into my business, or should I just thug it out, cut my hours down and then invest more time into the business. And it kind of seems like, in retrospective, it makes more sense. Like, why are you going to work more hours? Like, if the goal of the business is to get away from working all day, or like working at a corporate job that you don't care about, so why would I add more hours onto myself? But then I wasn't really thinking when I would discuss this shit with myself, and I'll journal about it, like, oh, it makes more sense to work more hours because I'll have more money and then I can put that into my business. Rather, like, if I just typed up, I don't know, Alex Hormozy advice on business, or like Alex Becker advice on business or some shit, bro, I'm pretty sure like the first 5 videos or something is going to be related to this issue that I'm having, and would like go into detail about how to solve it and shit. Other than me wasting time spending like half an hour journaling about what's the right decision to make. So you copy the greatest, of course, and you see what they do and you try to incorporate that into your own life. Like whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's like swimming, running, YouTubing, running a business, going to school or some shit. When you do incorporate it, you're not going to be 100% perfect. That's just the way nature works. If somebody tries paraphrasing what I said in this video, word for word, bar for bar, for everything that I said, even if they said it the way I say it, it's still not going to come out the same. It's not going to sound the same. It's not going to hit the same. It's not going to feel the same, because the way I do it has my own style to it. So it's like whatever you do, you're just naturally gonna come up with your own style. So you copy like clothing styles, for example. Like you copy the way people dress. Eventually you're gonna develop your own style. You see what you like, you see what you don't like. You incorporate that into the mix, and next thing you know, you have your own style. You have your own way of recording YouTube videos. You have your own way of bodybuilding and shit. Like you have your own training split. That's how you become successful. You copy the greats, you copy the greatest, you tweak it to make it your own, and then you succeed. You're never going to be an exact replica. And let's say, hypothetically, you are an exact replica. Let's say I'm like Hamza 2.0. And I'm able to articulate my words exactly like Hamza. I'm able to move people the way Hamza does. I'm able to do everything Hamza is able to do, but I'm always going to be second to Hamza because there's already a Hamza. If I try to be Hamza, I'm always going to be second. So it's like you have to incorporate your own styles into it. It happens naturally. But you do that, and that's how you become successful.